Hello, and welcome to Embedded Systems Final. As you can tell, this is probably going to be a little bit different than how the average person is going to put down their final, but I don't care. Let's do this. The main part of my final is to make a temperature sensor using the potentiometer in the dev kit provided by Bryce Hill. So I took two example codes. One of them, the serial communications from Lab 7, and the other, a temperature reading code that was not used before in the class but was still on the sample code folder. Cobbling together these two codes and adding in mathematical expression, I was able to modify the array that I had previously had in Lab 7 that put out just simple words. I was able to take the integer values that the temperature reading sample code gave me and convert them into strings that I could put into arrays. So, in the most basic form of this, I can look behind me right here into the code. I can click on debug, and the code is run as a register. So right now, I've decided to run my code for Celsius. So when I open up Putty in the serial with, I know my connections are in COM5, and see that when I run the code, I get nothing currently. And that's because I wanted to have it something that you could change whenever, like, you could get the most precise temperature. So right now, if you press 1, I have it set up that it will display the temperature, which is Celsius 22. I've decided to use Celsius because in reality, if you're needed to create something using a microcontroller, the most likely reasoning you would have for doing so is because you are doing something science related. You needed to measure a temperature and you were required to build one for it. And when you're doing something scientific or using the scientific method, the established way to measure temperature is with degrees Celsius. The current temperature is 22 degrees Celsius, which is room temperature, which is fitting because I am sitting in a room. And 22 degrees Celsius, for the people that really want to hear it, is 71.6 degrees Fahrenheit. However, this is debatably going to be used for scientific reasons, so I'm keeping it in Celsius. Don't complain. And at any time, I can press the button again, and it will give me the room temperature. And I've had it change as much as going from 21 to 20 down to like 18. And now the real test is I have to get something to modify the temperature. And I was advised to go hot, but I live in Montana and I prefer the cold. Alright. So, we have our very cold bag of ice. And we will now use the potentiometer to measure the temperature of it. The program will convert it to Celsius and then put it in an array, converting it from integer to string, and using that string that's been put into the array, display it on Putty. If I take this bag of ice and I slam it down gently on the potentiometer, I can still read what's going on, and it's still detecting 22 degrees Celsius. However, it's just had the bag put on it. You gotta wait. So, we will give it like 30 seconds. I have it a minute on my camera right now, and I'm gonna wait until it's a minute 30, as painful as that might be. Okay. Now let's check. Wait, did I pause it? All right. Hold the phone. The real reason why it wasn't changing is because I'm an idiot, and I put the ice bag on the wrong thing. So the ice bag needs to be on the MSP 430 and not the dev kit. I'm an idiot, but now you can see that Celsius is working, and it's actually like dropping. So as you can see, there's a test I did of it going to 11, then it went 9, and it's fluctuating at around 9 right now. So I can change it, I can push it back up, and now that I know that that's where it's supposed to be, like I can't believe I even tested the temperature before I put it out onto. I figured out the temperature conversion before I figured out the displaying it, and you can read it in the code. It's just the reason it's on PuTTY is so that anyone who can't read code can just see it and says, "Oh yeah, Celsius 22. Yeah, it's 22 degrees Celsius. It makes sense." So now I can take the bag off, and we can wait again and see the temperature rise back up until it will eventually get back to room temperature. I press 1. It's already up to 13. Press 1 again. We'll see if it rises. It's rising to 14. And this will eventually get back up to 22. And also, there's a side note. I found that if I took just my pointer finger and I depressed it along the sensor on the MSP430, I could also manage to make it heat up past room temperature, which is quite nice. So thank you everybody so much for watching. This was my final project for CSCI 255, Introduction to Embedded System. My name is Jacob Collins, and I thank you for seeing this little contraption work. Have a great summer.